es la voz de LA. It's like una galaxiana, come and kick it with us. I bring the bossa nova beats and talk the club that we love. Another year to adjust, and Will Coons we all trust. 6 titles in the cabin, tell a hater shut up. Mirar al horizonte con el cielo morado. Llegamos al estadio como siempre lo hago. Es la nueva temporada, ya cumplí 30 años. Rezándole a San Pequi que no dé al travesaño. Que repartan los balones y no sean tacaños. Que regrese el contraataque y que le hagamos daño. Un saludo para Robert, hermanos ecuatorianos. Que la táctica de Ananda nunca sean en vano. Si se trata de mi gala me levanto temprano. Ver el fur en verano, en el pasto tumbado. Siempre estoy a tu lado, en cualquier resultado. Vamos Galaxy, on top is where I gotta be. Chilling in the canopy, staging like a winery. Goals during rivalries, brew from the refinery. Only want the finer things, we letting you know. Lo que pasa en la galaxia, ready, let's start the show.
Hello, hola, and buenas, and welcome back to another episode of La Cuna Galaxiana, a podcast always made with love for all you LA Galaxy fans out there, wherever you may be. And man, this one is especially made with love for you guys because your humble little pod, your favorite humble little pod is La Cuna Galaxiana turns 200. We made it, guys.
Yeah.
We didn't get canceled. I mean, we're still around. We're still afoot. And to help us celebrate, we have a special guest here tonight who has reached that milestone almost 9 times over for the first and hopefully not the last time. We have the Podfather, a.k.a. Pato, a.k.a. Josh Guesman, host of Corner of the Galaxy, here with us to share some of his most cherished Galaxy memories with us. We'll talk trains, Taylor, the Galaxy, and wherever else the tangents take us on a special 200th episode tonight. Plus, Los Angeles, you're beautiful, you're strong, and you will never be broken. All that coming up on tonight's episode of La Cuna Galaxiana. As I've done 199 times before, I'm one of your co-hosts, Rob Halon, and you can find my written work at Extra Time Talk and at the Sporting Tribune, and online you can find me just there at El Escudero de LA, and just like he's always been, but maybe in a little bit different today, my co-host, el yerno guapo, gitano perdido, el papá de Natita, Ananda Kirana. Papa, congratulations, we made it to 200.
We made it to 200 indeed, Papa. And you always say el papá de la natita, right? So of course we've got one man making his debut today, but we have another debut today because I am el papá de natita. So for the first time on La Cuna Galaxiana, I'm going to introduce to you guys mi natita.
That's my sobrina, y'all. This is Natita coming live and direct. All the way from Spain.
She's like, ¿Dónde está tío Roberto? ¿Dónde está tío Roberto? ¿Dónde está mi tío? Anyways, you're being well behaved today, Nata. Anyways, because you guys are probably gonna ask, she is a 18-month multi-poo, and we've loved every minute of it so far. You know how it is being a fur baby dad, Papa. This is
I absolutely know. And I love that the primos are getting together now to bark at other dogs, you know?
That's right. With Kobe Cosmo. Yep.
You know what? Even before we let the episode rip, Ananda, we had a super chat from Alex G. He says, "Congrats on 200 episodes, boys. Thank you so much, man. I mean, honestly, we always talk about it. We couldn't do it without you guys. I mean, if you guys weren't here, we would just be kind of talking to each other, and then it'd still be fun, but you guys just bring so much more life to it. So thank you so much. Natita is available for commercials and movies and stuff like that. If you want to throw her the bag, she's available.
Su primo también, Kobe Cosmo.
Yeah, no, for sure. I am both their managers and agent. I will take my fair 32% off the top, and that's it, So anyway, Ananda, we have a lot to get through today, man. I mean, our guest is huge, man, for us. I mean, 200 episodes in. I mean, we always looked at this guy as the gold standard. So I mean, we're gonna get to talk to Josh Guesman. So
yes, sir.
I mean, it's he's been there, he's done that, he's seen it all. I mean, 17 years in doing what he's doing, and he's going to tell us a little bit about it. But yeah, man, you got to do what you do too right now. Woo.
Yes, sir. Oh man, this is this is like our little intro spiel and everything. But no, this is super fun, man. It's been an amazing journey, and I can't wait to have Josh on, because like you said, he's done this like 9 times over so far. Pero well, first I gotta say, you can always follow me, block me, or stalk me at Ananda Galaxiana. Both of our tags are right there, by the way, guys. If you do want to follow us on your favorite socials, and of course, you can always find the show on all of our socials at Lacuna Galaxiana. We're on Instagram, we're on X, all that good stuff.
Carrier pigeon.
Yeah, Raven. Exactly. And of course, you found our YouTube channel, which is awesome.
Yeah,
but
now you gotta hit that button.
But now you got to hit that button, because we know a third of you that listen to the show do not hit that subscribe button and inform you of when we have amazing guests on, like the Podfather himself. And we're going to have Michele Giannone as well later this week. So guys, go ahead and sub to this channel, hit those notification bells. That's going to be the best way to support this channel. And now, Rob, because we hit the 600 milestone, now we are on the race to 700 subs. So again, guys, all your help and love and support would be greatly appreciated. And of course, whoever the VP of likes out there is, go ahead and hit up those likes. That way more people can sort of come across YouTube and watch this show. And if they want, to listen to two knuckleheads talk about MLS, Galaxy, Ecuador, Spain, maybe Indonesia, all that good stuff, go ahead and spread the love, guys. And of course, Papa, como siempre, antes de olvidarme, buenos días, tardes o noches, y bienvenidos a otro capítulo de Lacuna Galaxiana, capítulo número 200. Ya estamos aquí. All right, I'm gonna let the dog out for a second, because I feel I hear her rustling in the back.
Well, while Ananda does that, I'll get into a couple of announcements here. And I just want to say thank you again to chat for doing what you guys do, being here and hanging out with us for show 200. And now we'll let it rip on some announcements. The Galaxy and the LA Galaxy Foundation are doing their 2025 beach cleanup on Saturday, June 14th from 10 to 12 at Venice Beach Pier North. Afterwards, there'll be a watch party starting 1:30 p.m. at the Venice Whaler and Hanano Cafe. That's at 10 Washington Boulevard and 15 Washington Boulevard, respectively. The Cosmo, everyone's favorite alien, and the Star Squad will be in attendance. Congratulations to the LA Galaxy Academy class of 2025. You see Ruben Ramos there. Those boys just graduated, so congratulations to them. Hopefully they go on to get that higher education as well. We mentioned Cosmo already tonight. Happy birthday to everyone's favorite alien. I'm hoping that he was surrounded by Cos mom and Cos dad. Just I don't know what aliens do for birthdays, but I hope they had a good one. So happy birthday to Cosmo. We already told you about Radiant Motivate and Monique Valdez. They're currently fundraising for a community center in Los Angeles. If you'd like to volunteer at an LA Galaxy game with them, please text Keith, and the number is right there on the screen, 440-597-6191. And just in case you guys didn't know and you guys were fans, it is SpongeBob night at the Digs on July 12th versus DC United at 7:30 p.m. And on to some news here, Ananda. It's been an eventful couple days here in LA, and yeah, we'll get there. But a couple weeks ago, the Galaxy went to San Diego, and afterwards there was some violence, and we called it out on this show, and it seems like it happened again. So more fights in San Diego at the friendly between San Diego and Club America, which San Diego won 3-0. That happened on June 7th. More fights broke out post-match and during the match. So now that's the 5th incident involving San Diego and their organization here this year in their inaugural year. I wonder what Mikey Virus will have to say after this one. And guys, I mean, it just, we usually talk about soccer on this podcast, and Los Angeles is fortunate enough to come through a difficult period in the fires, and now it looks like Los Angeles is back in another difficult period. Starting Friday, Los Angeles immigrant community was attacked by ICE, and because of that, there have been massive protests here in Los Angeles. They're going on the fourth day now. The administration of the White House's his response was federalizing the National Guard and sending them in. And as we speak, currently, the Marines are boots on the ground on U.S. soil. I don't want to tell you what is right or wrong. I know what is right for me. If you're listening to this, you can infer what is right or wrong and what I believe that is, just by what the images that we're about to show you are, and what I'm about to say. But this is a pivotal time in Los Angeles' history. Come together, be good to each other, and really just remember human decency and humanity. In the wake of these protests, I don't know if you guys can actually see the image, but bottom left, there's Angel City Brigade right there, leading the charge for social justice.
Yep.
And so shout out to them and their members for being on the front lines. I mean, they have one of the best flags in soccer with their smash Nazis, and this is just them being consistent. Ananda, if you go on to the next images as well, you'll see one of their members' statements and them being, again, on the forefront of social justice and trying to advocate for their fellow Angelinos. There were official notices or official statements put out by some soccer teams here in the city. Angel City FC put out an official statement. We are heartbroken by the fear and uncertainty many in our Los Angeles community are feeling right now. At Angel City, we believe in the power of belonging. We know that our city is stronger because of its diversity and the people and families who shape it, love it, and call it home. LAFC also put out a statement. LAFC believes that the true strength of our community comes from the people and cultures that make up the tapestry of this beautiful and diverse city. Today, when so many in our city are feeling fear and uncertainty, LAFC stands shoulder to shoulder with all members of our community. I mean, again, anytime we talk about LAFC, I always kind of joke, this one might get me canceled. I don't care on this one. Shout out to LAFC's fans for, being about it and showing out in their stands. And the 3252 held a silent protest. And at times it was downright eerie hearing nothing coming from that corner. You can see some signs that, they made sure to go ahead and show on the monitors and stuff like that. Jeremy Ebobise postgame said, we're a community. We stand by each other, and it's important that in these difficult moments, we reaffirm that and don't just back into our corners and be scared, because solidarity is the only way through this. I did reach out to the Galaxy today for comment to see if they had a statement. I had noticed that, they're usually on the forefront of things like this as well. They did come back to me and say that they would update me. I'm still waiting for that update. But, it's just good to know that there's, people are coming together during this moment. Be safe, be good to each other, and resist. So, Ananda, I don't know if you have anything to add, but
no, man, I think you said it all. It's just these things kind of just put me in a weird place, like emotionally and mentally. It's hard for me to talk about stuff like this. It's like me not wanting to talk to everyone after I watch an episode of Handmaid's Tale. It's kind of like that. So I think you said it beautifully, man. And yeah, I mean, nothing else to be said.
I mean, you and I are children, yeah, are children of immigrants, and so it touches us directly. Correct. So yes. I'll get off my soapbox now. We'll get into some soccer, but again, resist. Portugal wins the Nations League. They beat Spain after ending 2-2 in full time. They go on to beat Spain 5-3 in penalties. Cristiano Ronaldo got the second goal. Of course, you see him. The 40-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo seems like Father Time is not stopping him. He scores a goal in the final, gets to lift another trophy. But a team that looks pretty far from a trophy, even though that they will be hosting the World Cup on their soil, is the United States, who dropped their third straight match. This one against Turkey 2-1. And they just generally don't look good. There's really no system here to speak of. I mean, when you talk about Galaxy Soccer, you go, at least Greg has a system. You don't really see that here for the U.S. men's national team. And rumors are that Spurs wants Pochettino back. And so the question is now, should he go? Does he want to go? What do U.S. men's national team fans feel? But
the aftermath of this is crazy. Like we might revisit the Landon thing too, because that's been pretty. That was hitting the news rounds today, and that was.
We'll ask our special guest about that actually.
Sure.
Because I'd like to get his comments on that. I mean, this special guest is a guy who's covered Landon, extensively. So I kind of want to see what he has to say.
Fair.
But speaking of our special guest, as I mentioned at the top, he's been covering the Galaxy. Josh Guesman, aka Pato. I heard around some parts they also call him Goose. So he's been covering the Galaxy for a long time, Ananda. Since 2009. In 2009, when he started covering this team, one of the top songs in the country was "Boom Boom Pow." By the
nice
Black Eyed Peas. I know Josh was flexing some dance moves to that. I also got down to Use Somebody by the Kings of Leon. And of course,
that's a good one.
Josh rocked out to You Belong With Me by Taylor Swift, that also came out in 2009. Everybody was watching Avatar as well in 2009. Although one of my favorite movies of the year was Inglourious Bastards, another classic Tarantino cut.
Classic. Shoshana.
Shoshana, shout out to you, wherever you are. And President Obama was starting his first term. Twitter and Facebook were just barely starting to emerge, Ananda.
Really?
And the guy that we're about to have on, was at the forefront of basically, putting Galaxy news out on these emerging platforms. And of course, since we already mentioned Taylor Swift, Kanye's famous "I'ma Let You Finish" moment was also in 2009. What was going on in MLS, Ananda? Did you ask? Did I hear you ask that? Yes, you did. There were only 15 teams in the league. Seattle Sounders was an expansion team. And Supporter Shield went to the Columbus Crew. And I know everybody remembers Galaxy heartbreak after losing in penalties to Real Salt Lake in MLS Cup. Back in the day when Josh started, the average attendance in the league was 16K, Ananda. And fortunately, that's grown now to 22K. And in large part, at least here in the Galaxy sphere, he has a large part to do with, just people being interested in the Galaxy in general. He's been, a friendly voice in every Galaxy fan's ears for almost 2 decades now, just a couple years off of 2 decades. I know certainly that when I was in San Francisco, I would stay connected to the Galaxy community by staying connected to Josh's socials. So he's, guided Galaxy fans through highs and lows, Galaxy champions, wooden spoon winners, plus the rebuilding years, of course. And here's a baby Josh here. And he does it all with his Dr. Pepper in hand, so he can get that throat lubricated
that in
and
there.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he's been one of the, for me, honestly, I just made this connection right now, but he's been one of the constants in the Galaxy sphere. I mean, players have come and go, even presidents have come and go, coaches have come and gone, but Josh has been there for 17 years. I mean, he might be the white Don Raul. I don't know. So he's been there calling out Galaxy front office chaos, but he's also been there to tell us about the glorious things that the Galaxy have done, like bringing in Zlatan. but most of all, he's just been the most reliable source of Galaxy news that we have. So Ananda, I know that you had some entrance music that you wanted to throw on for Josh, right?
Cue producer.
One more time.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Please welcome to the show Josh Guesman, aka the Podfather, aka Pato. Welcome. How does it feel to be on the other side for once?
You know what? I was telling my wife that it's really easy being a guest. She's like, "What do you have to do in order to get ready for tonight?" I'm like, "I'm pretty sure I just have to show up." So you know,
much.
I mean, way easier to be a guest. Let me tell you, I know how the show notes go. I know how all that stuff goes. It's no fun, and it takes a lot of work. So I commend both of you on 200 shows when you realize that most guys who start podcasts make it through about 12 to 15 and they shut it down, right? So you guys are the exception to the rule. Also doing that grueling, and I know it's grueling, 2 shows a week. So congratulations to both of you.
Thank you, man. Means a lot.
Thank you, man. We will extend those well wishes to our wives as well, who
Exactly.
when we said 2 shows a week, they were like, "We will cut you." And they very nearly did. What are you doing? I mean, I know you're hanging out with us tonight, but what are you doing during this 2-week Galaxy break? I mean, how you staying busy? Family time?
I have family in town, so I have purposely just sort of divorced myself from soccer for a little bit. And it's nice. After 17 years, you take the little breaks whenever you can get them. And so I will gladly shut it away. By the way, still following the socials, still watching everything. There's never a time where you're completely divorced from the LA Galaxy. No, can't do that. Actually, I did today for the first time sort of look at the weekly schedule. I was like, oh, weekly schedule this week. When is press conference? Because I have a show on Thursday, so it's starting to start planning all those things. The Galaxy back in action. So it will feel like they were never off. Having said that, they also get 3 away games very rapidly. And it'll feel like the next home game that we have is July 4th. And that does seem like it's about a year and a half away. Some good things, some bad things for the Galaxy. But, I guess sitting on a win for, 2 weeks isn't the worst thing in the world.
And then when they go back home, they have to face off against probably the best team in
Hottest
MLS
team
at the
in
moment,
MLS,
Vancouver. So that's always fun. It's good that Josh popped in because now he gets to help us answer some of these super chats. We have a super chat by Hector Ramos. Can we win all the home games? Do we have what it takes to do so? Will RD do us bad? And then G-Cam says, congrats on 200. Is Josh a fan of Raquinho? I guess we'll start with a fan of Raquinho first.
Is this something that I should know? Because again, I'm old. One, Rob, you did a really good job of introducing me, but I also feel like I'm 100 million years old. And then I saw a picture of me with hair, and I was like, wow, look at all that hair. And I was worried then I was going to lose it, and I shouldn't have been living in that craziness of time, being worried about the hair going, Rob. I should have just lived and enjoyed it to its fullest. The wind rustling, the feathers at the top.
Yeah, no, but in the convertible all the time, just doing your thing, man. No, Raquinho was. I don't know if you remember when the raccoon invaded the pitch. I think like a year ago,
I do
2
remember
years
that.
ago
Yep.
Philly, New York. Yeah, I can't get it. Like how you are with trains. That's me and Raquinho. Like
and like cute furry things in general. That's like
Do you want to hear my raccoon story at the digs? Because I have raccoon stories. Yeah,
there was a Raquinho at the digs, y'all.
Oh, they're there. You just have to know when to be there. So whenever I forget, this was probably pre-COVID, but certainly COVID. Remember how in COVID, like wildlife started coming back into places?
Yes.
And the whole bit, yeah. So I always tell people, obviously COVID was not a good thing, but in terms of following the LA Galaxy and finding things, it was a unique and kind of really fun experience because reporters were still at the games. We still got to go. So we would show up. There'd be no parking needed. Like you didn't have to worry about what time you got to there. Like you didn't have to worry about crowds. You just walked in, went to your booth that they set up, like sort of in the southwest corner there where the bar is now, there with all these little booths set up, and they had fake hedges between them. So Kay Baxter would be over on one side, and we weren't supposed to get near each other because COVID, you're supposed to stay. So we'd like peek around the hedges at each other and do all that stuff. So it was crazy. But one of the nights, and it was probably pre-COVID, I was leaving late because I've tried to do so many different things over the years. I've written a lot. I don't write as much now because my wife actually likes me, so I try to hang out with her sometimes.
Good move.
And so yeah, it's
Smart.
good for the wallet too. Yeah. Yeah, my first wife not so much. But we were there. I was there. It was late at night, and I was walking through, and all of a sudden, you see a pair of eyes just pop up out on like the main concourse, and I stopped. I looked, and there's our Raquinho running through there. So, and I was like, what is this, DC United? Because at the time, DC used to play at the old RFK and
RFK,
stadium. Yeah, and so that was where all the raccoons were. So, that was my rec. But there are raccoons at the digs. There are also apparently rattlesnakes around there too. I haven't seen any.
I don't want to see the snakes. I do want to see the Raquinhos. And then Hector says, can we win all the home games? I'm pretty sure he says, can we win all home games at the very least? I don't know. Yeah. What do you think?
We were doing the math, I think, on one of our shows. Maybe it was our last show that we did, and we were like, hey, if you win all your home games and you draw all your away games, you're ridiculous for even thinking that scenario through. No, I mean, there's going to be gives and takes here, but I think at some point we have to trust a little bit of the standings. I think we can all agree, and Rob, you and I have had this discussion many times, and I've talked to Galaxy players and front office guys about it. The Galaxy aren't as bad as their record. They certainly aren't, right? But at no point should we think that this Galaxy team is suddenly going to flip a switch and run out all these things. Do I think that they will be better in the second half than they were in the first half? It would be almost impossible not to be. Right.
Yeah,
so yes, there's going to be something there, but I don't know that, I'm hopeful that they have been figuring things out. And so, no, they're not going to win all their home games. No, that's ridiculous. Vancouver's coming on July 4th. They're averaging 2.19 points per game right now. They're on pace for more than 70 points. It ain't happening. But having said that, I think the Galaxy can win some home games. I think that they can win some away games. I think they can do stuff. I will not get excited about them trying to reach that lofty goals of the playoffs until they show things. And it was funny, I think, Rob, you probably said this too, but Greg Vanney has sort of talked about it. He's like, we don't really need to watch the standings right now. We know where we're at. Right. I was like, that's real. That's real. That's one of the reasons I love Greg Vanney. That's real. Right. So no, the answer is you can't win all your home games. Can you be better? Yeah, you can be better. And I think that the Galaxy can be much better than what they were. But again, it's pretty hard to be as bad as they were.
I love that you're in the pressers as well, because a little bit later, we're going to play a little game called Taylor or Greg.
Oh, good. I'm sure that would. They both, speak to me. That's really what it is. So I imagine. I imagine. Yeah, all day. All right, cool.
XPH, executive producer Herb.
Oh, thank God changed his name. Thank God changed your name, Herb. It was so nice to see that. Anyway.
Yeah, I know. I am so happy that he changed his name. He says, "Hey Rob, hey Nanda, congratulations on the 200. Here's the 200 more. Hey Josh, no injuries, please. We need you healthy for the second half of the season. Rob and Nanda, please, no studs up."
That's right. Be gentle with me. Thanks, Herb. I appreciate that.
All day. Everybody knows that I'm a lover, not a fighter. Like Ananda says, I love, cute, cuddly things. Josh, you were talking about the second half of the season, kind of looking forward. What's been your one-word reaction to the Galaxy season so far?
Crap. I mean, I don't. It's so. I sit and I think, Rob, sometimes you do too, but we sit in weird places. I do try to remain somewhat neutral, and I think that's difficult for me to do sometimes. And I've been following the same team for 17 years, and I like it when the players are successful. But there is like this morbid curiosity, and it happened in 2017, maybe some in 2020, that when it's really bad, like when there's that accident across the freeway and you're driving, you sort of you don't want to look, but you want to look, and you sort of want to see what's going on. You sort of want to see what happened. That's like when the Galaxy get really bad, I sit there in absolute awe of the situation. And what happened this first half, after covering the Galaxy for as many years as I have, I cannot explain. In all likelihood, the law of averages said the Galaxy should have won 4 or 5 of those games, and they just didn't. And you would sit there and be like, and it wasn't even surprising anymore. When they lost that game to San Diego, and you thought, they had the draw sort of in there, seeing Garces sort of flub that, and just like it wasn't surprising. The ball was in the air, and I was like, oh, why is this going to be trouble? But it's going to be trouble. Like something's going to happen. And you saw it. And that's weird too, because if we're feeling that, the players are feeling some of that too, right?
Yeah,
And so
absolutely. Yep.
I think that's the fun thing, is getting to know players and getting them to sort of understand that they're just like human beings, just like everybody else. They're just really, really ridiculously good at soccer, like so much better. The 1% of the 1%, like in the world, right? These guys are so good. And they're going to go out and make these big flubs and these mistakes, and it's almost like it's crazy to even think that. But that, if we're seeing it, they're seeing it, so they know what's going on. And so, but yeah, it's big crap. I don't know. It needs to get better, right?
Well,
Yeah,
Josh, having said
absolutely,
I
all
was gonna
day.
say, having said all that, do you think then has this been your toughest season to cover?
No.
No?
No. 2017 and 2020 will always be just ridiculously bad seasons. And I tell the story, and I've told it on my podcast many times. I'll tell it again. There was a game in 2017 where the LA Galaxy played Sporting Kansas City. I don't remember what the final score was. It doesn't matter. I can just tell you I almost fell asleep in the press box, and nothing happened for 90 plus minutes. And you're like, oh, well, the Galaxy aren't going to try to do anything, and Sporting Kansas City aren't going to try to do anything. This game is a waste of everybody's time. And I get to watch live soccer for free. It's like the coolest thing in the world. It is the best gift in the world that we get to do. So getting to do that is always such a treat. And I felt like the freeness of that game deserved for somebody to pay me to be there, because that was horrible. So 2017 was crazy, and obviously the wooden spoon lived in the podcast studio for the next year. So I didn't enjoy 2018 all that much either, quite honestly. But is what it is.
Yeah, we happened to start in 23, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You're like, oh, maybe it's us, that whole thing.
Yeah.
That's sometimes I think that
it's always us, right?
Like Taylor says, it's I'm the
just like the
problem.
wife say, it's not you, it's not me, it's you. There you go.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, you said that you can't remember that match against SKC, but you've also been there for amazing moments in Galaxy history. I mean, you kind of showed me the ropes this year at MLS Cup, because you had been there already. What's the moment that stuck with you the most in your Galaxy coverage?
One is, I'm gonna have to figure out where you're finding these pictures and definitely delete all these. So that's good. That's good to know. No, there's two. One of my favorite seasons was 2009, which is funny because that's a season that ends in heartbreak in Seattle. But I was there in Seattle. I wasn't in the press box at any time, so I actually paid my way up there. And me and one of my buddies bought tickets. We were in one of the corners, like about 3 rows off the field, and so we got to see that horribleness sort of develop. That 2009 season was such a crazy roller coaster, right? But there seemed like a certainty. This is where I always get back into sports and how difficult it is. 15 teams, but there seemed like a certainty that the LA Galaxy were going to get to another MLS Cup after that. So 2009 sort of sets up like that heartbreak, right? That, oh, so close, but didn't get there. One of the few times the LA Galaxy sort of got to MLS Cup and didn't perform.
Right.
It got so unlucky in that game too. So many weird, Donovan Ricketts breaking his arm, and just like crazy stuff that sort of happened in that. So that sort of set it up. And then you go into 2010. And Supporter Shield winner get knocked out in the playoffs. 2011 Supporter Shield MLS Cup, craziness. So the 2009 sets up sort of the 2011, and then 2012, which was just a team that you were always like destined to win. And so you do that, and then 2013, 2014. So all that stuff is sort of in there. But my favorite moment is 2024, and it's not even close. I personally believe that 2024 team was the best LA Galaxy team I've ever watched. And it was funny because how much of that year did we sit there and say, I don't know about these guys, right? And so many times in other years, like in 2011, where the Galaxy just, like, they weren't going to lose. Like, you knew they weren't going to lose, right? And you're like, oh, last time there was a balanced schedule. The LA Galaxy win MLS Cup and the Supporter Shield, right? So, like, it was like this knowing. And for some reason in 2024, what the LA Galaxy were doing, and if you go back and watch some of those games, the league has come so far forward, and the play is so much faster, and it's more physical, if that's even possible, because some of those early years were like playing like NFL football out there.
A little rugby-ish.
Yeah, totally. Well, because they didn't have the skill players, right? And now you have a guy like Ricky Puig who, while I think he can be a bit ego-driven, is also somebody who is one of the most talented players I've ever seen play, on the field. Maybe outside of Zlatan in terms of pure talent, in a way, and affecting the game so much in a different way too. But like 2024 was just outstanding, and to watch that, my favorite moment was in the locker room afterwards, and Juninho was standing there, and I was in the locker room with Juninho talking to him whenever he won an MLS Cup. In 2011 or 2012 and 2014, because I was there. I think he was still on the team in 2014, but certainly in 2012, sort of in there. And I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, doesn't this remind you of something?" And he sort of put his arm around me. He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I remember being here with you before." I'm like, "Yeah, that's right.
There
We've
we
been
go.
here before." And it's sort of like those moments that you sort of get. That you get to see it. Joseph Paintsel sitting in his locker, just sort of like in the quiet contemplation, probably writing another banger, just getting ready to like pop out, right?
Exactly.
So, you also had, Gaston Brugman, MLS MVP. He had to have known. I think he knew something was coming, like, and that he wasn't going to be with the team. So, like, there's all these things. There's like bittersweetness inside of all this. But 2024 was so exciting for me. So that was my top one.
I mean,
Yeah.
I gotta
So
agree
fun.
with you. I mean, it was special for me. I mean, my first MLS Cup. I mean, I know. Sometimes I can be like that guy that went to Yale, and always has to like slip in that he went to Yale. I'll be like, oh yeah, when I covered MLS Cup, but you are talking about the different eras, 2009 leading up to 2014. How 2024 is your favorite, just like mine. It seems like in some of these earlier pictures, you were still that bright-eyed, bushy-tailed young man that believed in the goodness of this Galaxy team before the transfer bans and the Chris Kleins and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
How has your relationship with the team changed over the years as the pod has gotten bigger, as certainly you've become more of like a reliable source of news for Galaxy fans?
Yeah, I mean the pod started for two fans who started it, and Jared Dubois and I sort of did it. Somebody asked us to do a podcast. It's a long, winding story, but there was a podcast called Around the League way back in 2008, 2009. I was one of the Galaxy correspondents along with Jared Dubois. And so we had done this podcast, and so we sort of tried to do something. If you can believe it, we kept our first shows to about 30 minutes because we were like, let's be short and be done. I can't even get out an intro in 30 minutes anymore. So, it's sort of a
Feel your
good
pain.
thing. But yeah, I know. Jared taught me a lot though, because he was sort of more of a seasoned podcaster at that time. Because podcasting was such a huge thing in 2009. Dave Denholm originally had the first LA Galaxy podcast. So Dave and I are good, still remain good acquaintances, good friends. He's been co-hosted on the podcast many times over the years. He was the original LA Galaxy podcaster, which is always fun to sort of look at. And now, play-by-play over for LAFC. I don't hold that against him. I still love Dave. He's a great guy doing that stuff. But it changed because, and it sort of morphed into something because I felt there was a hole there. I mean, Rob, you see it now, I think, and Nanda, you probably see it now. The coverage that we get in Major League Soccer has shifted. The legacy guys, as much as Kevin tries, he's been kept, with the LA Times, he's forced to cover other things, right? And he can't always be there. And so it's like, who's going to be there day in and day out? And so I sort of decided that I was going to be there day in and day out. And if that meant that I had to slide more neutral in order to do that, because certainly whenever I started, it was all legacy guys. I mean, they didn't want me in the press box. They didn't want me asking questions. Bruce Arena used to just stare at me during press conferences, and try to intimidate me. I love Bruce. But it took me a while to get comfortable with that. So, I always say that I'm trying to be truthful, and I know some people will say that I have a bias towards the front office. I don't think that's the case. Still had more hair in that picture than I do right now. But I try
you're still Wapple, man. Come on.
No. But sort of looking at what it is I think I owe it to people to be truthful about the LA Galaxy. So if I think they do good things, I think they do good things. If I think they do bad things, then they'll do bad things. I'll say that I think there's a lot of people in the front office right now that care, that want to win, and that's way different than what I had. There's that I may have at one point told somebody in the previous front office that I was here before them and I'd be here after them. So there's sort of that ability to outlast things. And I think, Rob, you talk, coach through coaches, through players, coming on, the whole deal. The bottom line is that there's some people Scott French comes to mind. Damian Calhoun comes to mind. You know, some of these guys who are basically, they are the monument by which you measure time at the LA Galaxy, which is they've been here through everything. They can tell you about every coach. They can tell you about every player. And those are the people to listen to. And by sheer luck and a little bit of hard work, you know, we've been able to sort of put together something that you know, at least resonates with people, and we try to be factual with our stuff. Are we perfect? No, but you know, we try to be. We never want to lead people in the wrong direction or do anything. I really, you know, I'll say my unpopular opinion is that Greg Vanney absolutely should have gotten his extension. Now it probably should have been announced whenever, like in the off season. That would have been nice.
Correct.
And as far as I was concerned, I was doing it for a different reason than how the LA Galaxy sort of put it together, which was I was like, hey, announce that Greg Vanney's coming back for next year so that we relieve some of the pressure off the guys and Greg Vanney, and everybody can just go back to playing soccer for a little bit and not have to worry about everything else that's going on. How they did it is different, which is okay. Now we get to see the reactions to that and how that goes. You know, we'll see. You know, the bottom line is I think I became like a flag bearer for the, oh, it's okay to extend Greg Vanney. Well, now I have to eat that, don't I? So he better do good, otherwise everybody will be coming after me. So. We'll see. We'll sort of see how that goes. But no, I think it's that it's changed because it's had to change. And when we need to be critical, we will absolutely be critical. And when we want to applaud, we will applaud. And I think that that's what you should do if you are, you know, trying to look over an organization like the LA Galaxy.
Yeah, and then Rob and Josh just responding to one of your comments that you said. I think it's so funny when I see mentions in the comments saying, "Oh, look at this homer! What a homer take!" And it's like, I look at that, I'm like, did you not listen to the 15 minutes before then criticizing the Galaxy? And then he, you know, went to the homer take. Like, that's fine. But did you just ignore everything he said before that? So I love it when they just fixate on the one thing that they don't agree with, and they accuse, you know, because I've gotten a little bit of that too. So
no,
reading and listening comprehension is hard for some people's.
Well, think about it this way too, and I think it's fair is that we live in, you know, a YouTube Shorts, we live in a Reels, we live in a TikTok society, you know, and even me, I'm on there scrolling through stuff. It's like, oh man, this guy's an idiot. I can't believe what he just said in 30 seconds. Oh, you mean it was within a broader conversation that took 25 minutes? I mean, podcasting, we are certainly not short form on Corner of the Galaxy, and so you know, it takes a dedicated user, and you know. I think you guys are idiots and I'm idiots for this one special thing. We all decided to do sports podcasts, which means as soon as we are done with this, it will be out of date. Then we decided to do it to one of the niche sports in the United States in Major League Soccer. And while it is gaining more popularity and doing more things, we certainly aren't going to rake in the big bucks like if we had, you know, a Dodgers podcast or something like that, where if you got real traction and you really held on to do that sort of thing, you could do. So yeah, we're all a bunch of morons out here trying to like stay caught up with the news that we have to find, that we have to break, and we all have like real jobs and do real things, and you know, hold it. The best thing that ever happened was I think Sasha Kleshin came up to me one day and he goes, he goes, you know, I don't think most of these guys understand that the guys who are really covering the teams are the guys who have like other jobs, right? And like the podcast. And I thought that was sort of, he understood that there was a dedication to be able to pull off what we do. So you guys, hey, hats off to you. Try to stay married. That's what I say, you know.
Oh no, definitely. You know what helps is the wifeys really like each other too. So you know, it's like
you guys are lucky. Yes.
Yeah, and then you know the doggies are cousins and stuff like that. We do have another super chat. Edgar Nag says, much love to Lacuna on your 200th. Respect to you and all the amazing and hardworking Galaxy content creators.
Shout out News Across the Galaxy. Keep on nagging.
Shout out Nag boys. Josh,
man.
We saw that picture of your 1000th. Was that maybe a moment for you that confirmed to you like, yeah, this is what I do it for? You know, these good moments in the community and you know, like these milestones, or what has maybe perhaps been that moment that, you know, kind of made you realize like, yes, I do the pod because of this?
It's a great question. It certainly isn't the 1000th show or the 1200th or, you know, the 700th show. I think Eric and I dressed up in tuxedos for our 700th, if I remember correctly. That was when he was still in the area. That was fun, but it was like sort of a wild thing to sort of do. No, there's two things. Is One, I say I'd do this like even if people didn't listen. And there's probably some truth to that because it's just what I enjoy doing. I enjoy putting shows together. I enjoy getting ready for them. I enjoy covering the LA Galaxy. I enjoy going to the press conference afterwards and asking questions. There's things that I enjoy. I enjoy sitting in the press box. So those parts of it, like going to a game on a Wednesday night, probably confirms this is why I do this more than a podcast or anything else. The shows just happen because you're too stupid to stop. So you just keep going. Like you guys are at 200, and then pretty soon you're gonna blink and you're gonna be at 400, and then you're gonna be at 600. And he's like, well, how did that happen? I don't even. I try to keep track, and I keep track of my little like counter over to the side, and all of a sudden I'll record a show and be like, oh, that was because we have a Monday night show that is technically different than our Thursday night show. I actually have trackers of each of those as well. So I know how many shows we've done on Monday nights, how many shows we've done on Thursday nights. And we constantly go through milestones on those. And I pay no attention to them because I'm like, I don't really care. It's just, the big ones. And then all of a sudden I'll be like recording and I'm like, oh, I guess our next one's 1,000. Maybe I should do something for that. Or I'm like, you know what? It's okay. Like, and some of those during the shows, you wouldn't even hear an announcement of it because I didn't realize it until after I was done because it's just every Monday and Thursday. That's what I do. So I don't know. It's certainly, I love saying hi to people. I love being around. I'm a social butterfly. I like to talk to people and say hi. So, that's obviously another thing, and it stokes the ego. Personally, I tell my daughter that I'm very famous within a very small area. So usually the bottom of the press box stairs.
Remember I was telling you the other day that even though you didn't go to a recent match, everybody was still there.
Yeah.
At the stairs, and there was like a little space for where you usually stand. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. It's like a guard of honor for Josh because he's not here,
Yeah, I expect that whenever I die, that's what will happen right there. Is little flowers on the ground, maybe a little beer poured out for a homie, and that's it. Maybe some pupusas. Some pupusas, that's it.
For sure. Well, that's what I thought to myself. I was like, guys, he's just not here. He didn't die.
Well,
Bye-bye. A couple more super chats.
Schnaps, thank you for calling to my attention. Raul G says Felicidades on 200. It's been an awesome ride, dudes. Josh is a cool guest for this one. See you at the digs.
That's irregardless.
Yes, it's a must win. Yes,
must win. Catching me on both of my wonderful tropes there. Irregardless, we only say it because of Aaron, who's in our constant chat, because he corrects us every time. So now we just use it incorrectly all the time.
Irregardless, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then my absolute disdain for the words must win when it is not a mathematical issue. It is not, oh, this is a must win. No, it's not. It will never be. And nobody will ever come. I'll die on that hill, quite honestly. I don't even care.
Oh, that's wonderful because I've said it so many times on this pod as well. Like they'll be like, well, what's the must win? I'm like, well, there's mathematically it's still possible, so it's not a must win. Adam says, hey guys, would you know when is media availability? Well, Josh let us know earlier.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I believe it's going to be Thursday because I look for my email and I don't think maybe we have the weekly out today. Maybe it'll come out tomorrow whenever it comes out. But I believe it's going to be Thursday because we have a Saturday. There's a Saturday game. I believe that's how it is. But sometimes even when they travel it's usually match day -2, which is usually what you can pencil in. Exactly. Which in this case would be Thursday, which is good for podcasting because we all do shows on Thursday. LA Galaxy, we like press conferences on Thursday.
Those Friday ones mess us up, man.
No. And then I don't even want to be there because I'm like, now I'm going to learn something, and then I'm going to have to then I didn't get to pod about it. Now I'm an idiot because I didn't know this yesterday. So yeah, always good.
Exactly. And then people were like, well, you didn't know. Comments 96 says,
shout out, Big Man.
Super chat. Shout out to El Primo. Here's the 200 more, my G's. Lord willing, we will get there.
From your lips
Adam
to Lord's
says,
ears.
Congratulations to many more episodes, more coming. Yeah, same, man. I mean, we hope to do it. I mean, we hope to have Josh's stamina. He's been there for
idiocy. Just say idiocy. That's it's ridiculous that every Monday and Thursday night for 17 years has basically been dedicated. Like my wife knows Mondays and Thursdays. She was shocked I didn't do a show today. I'm like, well, I'm going to be on a podcast later, so calm down.
She's like, oh, well, let's go. No. I'm still doing something, but you've had basically the pulse of this community for almost 2 decades, like I said earlier, and you've had a lot of basically good takes. You were at the forefront of a bunch of good takes. What's been a take that you've gotten really wrong that you've been like, oh, I dropped the ball on this one, my bad, y'all?
Favorite. I have two like famous ones. One is in reporting. I reported that Sasha Kleshin was coming from Belgium to the United States to join the LA Galaxy in what was that? When did Landon retire? 2015? Was it 2015 when he, or 2016 whenever he decided to retire? It was one of those. So I had heard that there was a press conference, and I, the smart man that I am, not knowing anything about reporting news or anything else that I was doing. These are the learning things. It's nice whenever you can't get fired because you're the person in charge of doing it. Reported that Sasha Kleshin was coming in. I like went to the Galaxy. I'm like, well, I know there's a press conference, and they're like, how did you know there's a press conference? I'm like, oh, got him, nailed him, the whole deal. Well, it was Landon Donovan retiring. It wasn't Sasha Kleshin. I actually got to tell that story to Sasha. Which is a good one. So that was one that I was very wrong on. But the most, I mean, the one I still get crap for, which rightfully so, Charlie Rugg, Rookie of the Year. That was. I watched that kid play in preseason. I'm like, he's big, he's physical, he's got some speed. I watched him turn a corner. I was like, dude, this kid is great. Rookie of the Year preseason, right there, Charlie Rugg. Charlie Rugg, who I still, by the way, I'm a huge fan of. Charlie, whatever Charlie Rugg is doing right now, I want to be a supporter of. So whether if he's selling real estate, I'm buying.
You're like, I'm getting a house. I'm getting a house from Charlie Rugg. Yeah, I mean, didn't set the world ablaze for sure, but
No.
Once a G, always a G.
That's right.
What is something that you admire about Galaxy fans that doesn't get talked about enough? I mean, we even here on this pod are like, man, Galaxy fans go crazy on Twitter. They're so reactionary. But what's a virtue in this Galaxy fandom?
I mean, I think, Rob, you were saying it even whenever, and if I could delve a little bit into all the stuff that's going on in Los Angeles right now, it's about community. And it's always been about a community, and it is about family in a way that, we think of family as blood, and family's not blood. It can be, certainly, and I hope it is sometimes, but you don't have to be related to somebody to be family. And, I think at the heart of some of the protests we have right now, it's kind of a beautiful thing that it's people standing up for each other, right, and protecting family and doing those things. So I hope everybody's staying safe out there and know that the community's behind them and those types of things. I'm certainly not one who should be standing on this white guy shouldn't be standing on any soapbox, yelling and screaming about some of the injustices that are going on. But at the bottom of the heart, it's about community and family, and I love everybody, one, who has ever been a part of this Galaxy community and who has been part of the COG family and just the podcast family or anything like that, is that I've seen amazing, wonderful things from this community and the way that they go out and support people whenever they need to. And, I think being in the position we are, we get a lot of requests to sort of forward on, GoFundMe's and stuff like that. And I feel like people don't understand how many requests we probably get to do that stuff and to go out and try to help people out. And I think it's my job, certainly, as somebody who has a limited reach, but a reach nonetheless, is to be able to highlight some of those things. So I hope everybody's staying safe, but it is going to be family, and it's going to be family and community that gets us through all this as well. So.
Yeah, Rob, we feel the same way as well, trying to use our little tiny platform for as much good as possible. I think absolutely 100% vouch for that.
But Galaxy fans are crazy, man. They'll go down to Costa Rica. They don't care. I remember in the years of the CCL and just they'd be like, 12 guys who showed up in, a random place playing Auto Hense and stuff like that. And you'd be like, there they are. Yep. Always down there. They were at the team hotel getting autographs beforehand. They'd run over, get the ball. It's just the love that they have for the team and everything else is it's amazing. It's so much fun. That passion can bubble over sometimes. It can be a bad thing too, but for the most time, it's a pretty good thing.
Oh yes, yes, you used the word, the keyword passion.
Passion.
And I kind of teased this earlier for you, but speaking of passion, we're going to get into moments of passion here. You're going to have to decipher if this is a Taylor Swift song lyric or Greg Vanny in a post-match presser.
Okay, let me before we get too far into it. One, I love me some Taylor Swift. My wife is not as big a fan as I am, but I went to the Eras tour. We paid $75 per seat for our tickets because they were
That's so good.
limited view side. Like I saw none of the concert. I watched it on Apple TV. That's where I really saw the concert because I was there. I could hear it. I just couldn't see a lot of it. Right. So I am still a bigger, as Rob, you and I have talked about, I'm a bigger Something Corporate fan whenever it all comes down to it. Something Corporate,
Wonderful
Jackson
band.
and Andrew McMahon, 100% have been there from the very beginning. I'm a Something Corporate hipster, so I am totally in on that. And then my favorite coach that I've ever got to cover is Greg Vanny. So I just would like to put all these things into perspective as we've gone because I love Bruce Arena. I think he's great, and I think Greg Vanny is a better coach than Bruce Arena. Bruce Arena is a better man manager than Greg Vanny.
I
So
agree
there's
with
sort
that.
of like
Yep.
the different sort of
That's
tactics
right.
and everything
Well,
else. Bruce is amazing. So
I was going to save this question for later, but before we get into Taylor or Greg,
yes.
is Greg Vanny the best Galaxy manager of all time?
No, won't be until you look at what like Bruce Arena has done. I'm just saying, as a coach wise,
On
it's
ability.
a joke. Yeah, on ability. I think it's a joke or a little bit at this point. One is that he says growing instead of groin, and I can't stop chuckling every time he says it. Like I almost lose it every time. It's crazy. But also that you ask him one question and he gives you like 17 minutes and a dissertation on how it was. I actually really appreciate that. And yes, it's a lot of quotes, and no, most of those quotes will never be played because they're so long. But it's still. I appreciate the explanations.
I chuckle to myself too every time I hear growing, thanks to you guys, Josh.
Yeah,
So,
growing. Did he just say growing?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was gonna save this too for later, but I might as well. Josh, better hair, Ricky or Taylor?
Ricky's got some like just Disney Prince hair, and it's perfect. Taylor's got a lot of things going for her. I don't think the hair is the one. I'm sure Swifties will be mad at me. I don't think hair is her best feature, right? So that's not where I would go with that. But Ricky has the best hair, 100%.
Who's the Galaxy player most likely to date Taylor?
Has there been? You know what? If you ever saw Sebastian Lletget and Becky G, you realize that there is a bar that you are not able to predict. Because yes, Sebastian Lletget is a good-looking young man. He was not on Becky G's level, and we all know that.
No,
right? And he screwed that up. And I still don't even know if they're back together. And I don't want to know now because now it's been ruined and everything else. So I would say it would probably be somebody like Miguel Berry right now, if you're going to take one guy off the thing, because you don't. He's sort of just like this guy who's just got all this confidence. He's got a little bit of the looks. He stands off to the side. You wouldn't expect it. Yeah. Next thing you know, he's dating a supermodel, or he's dating Taylor Swift. That type of thing. So I don't know.
I like that one.
Yeah. So I do believe, however, that Taylor and Travis, she wanted to be the little spoon finally. I think that's the good theory. We'll go with that one. So that's why Travis is sort of getting that. He's funny. He's good looking. We'll take it.
I was gonna say, somebody who doesn't have that listening comprehension is gonna be like, Josh broke that Miguel Berry is dating Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
I'm like,
that's not happening.
It's gonna come out international news. All right, so let's play Taylor or Greg. The first one is we're not broken, just bent.
That sounds like Taylor. So I'll go with Taylor, but I could definitely see Greg Vanny saying that. So these are good, Rob. I already enjoy it.
You are correct.
Correct.
That is Taylor.
Yeah.
We're still learning how to suffer together.
Oh man, that's not. If that isn't a Taylor Swift song, I don't know what it is. But it was Greg Vanny who said that.
That is correct. 2 of 2. It felt like a spotlight on me that seemed selfish.
That's Greg Vanny. Although that doesn't have as much angst for usually Taylor songs. So I'm going Greg Vanny on it.
That is correct. You are 3 of 3. The stakes were high. The water's rough.
That's Taylor. Greg would have said something like the stakes are high, but then he would have talked about the double pivot in the middle, so it would have gone away. So
you are 4 for 4. The margins are very fine, and mistakes hurt us. You should have a keyword right there.
I mean, margins, yeah, because Greg is big on the margins. Yeah, it's Greg Vanny, but also those are like recent because they like immediately. I'm like, I know Greg said that, like that type of thing. So if I know Greg said it, that's easy. And if I hear it and it sounds like a little more poetic, Greg Vanny's a lot of things. I don't know that he's poetic yet. I don't know that we've hit that level of like Bruce. Like level of poetry, it's like oh yeah, these are Bruce Arena would say something like he at one point screamed out was we were like was this guy getting sick, and he goes he was vomiting, right, and we're like there you go, okay, that's Bruce Arena.
Poetic.
Yes.
I would love to see what Bruce does for his wife on Valentine's Day, right? Just pure romance.
Yes, absolutely.
We go on with the next one. You can hear it in the silence, you can feel it on the way home.
Taylor Swift.
Taylor it is.
Yep.
We adapted because we tried something new out of necessity.
Taylor could do that because she is somebody who has shifted genres, and that was not done. I feel like people don't understand. I'm a Red album Taylor Swift fan, by the way, which is a little bit country, a little bit more pop, somewhere in between. There's just a little twang every once in a while, but otherwise it was a solid pop album. But I would imagine that she doesn't get this one. So what was the quote again? Because I already talked myself into a circle on it.
We adapted because we tried, something.
It was Greg Vanny. It was Greg Vanny. Yes, absolutely. It was the opposite. I was trying to figure out where I was going with that. Had no idea. Got lost.
And Primo was correct. He said Greg said that after the 7-0. G-Cam hits us up with the super chat. Says, when there isn't a Dr. Pepper within reach, do you go for a Coke or Pepsi?
Nobody likes Pepsi. So I got schooled on this recently. Apparently, there was a big push for Pepsi in the African American community. So apparently, if you're Black, you actually really might like Pepsi. This was like a whole marketing campaign that Pepsi put together.
For years.
I learned this on a podcast. Yeah, and I didn't know this. It was totally new. So I don't want to just disregard Pepsi like that. But Pepsi is Pepsi okay? That's the name of Pepsi, because whenever you ask for a Coke and they go, is Pepsi okay? You're like, yeah, I guess. So it would be a Coca-Cola Classic, as is always the case.
Well, we have, I believe, just one more, right, Ananda?
Correct. Yep.
So we end with,
let's go for the clean sweep here.
Yeah, let's go for the jugular here. Let's go for the win. People are people, and sometimes we change our minds.
That's Taylor Swift.
Dang, got all of them. All of them correct. You already kind of talked about a Galaxy hill that you're willing to die on, right? But what's a Galaxy moment that could have changed the team's trajectory in the multiverse, right? I'm talking about maybe that loss to RSL and MLS Cup, not playing in the CONCACAF Champions Cup way back when FIFA kind of took that right away from them the first time, and then
second time.
Exactly.
Not the second time.
Losing to LAFC in that Western Conference semis in 22.
Yep. That always seemed inevitable to me. So I didn't, it's some of these things you can sort of sit there and as you look back on them, I think you gain clarity on them. Things that could have changed the trajectory. I have this craziness that Christian Wilhelmsen is the reason the LA Galaxy won an MLS Cup. And so had he not been on the team that year, the Galaxy would not have won an MLS Cup. Remember, this is a dude who did not score a goal. And famously, Robbie Keane, knocked one in that was 6 inches from going in. And you watch Christian Wilhelmsen's whole life just melt in front of him. He was like I said, Robbie Keane's like, what? I'm a striker. I'm going to knock it in from 6 inches out as the ball's getting ready to roll over the line, right? The whole deal. But his chaotic running, his straight line speed, all of the things that they sort of brought him in to do, he absolutely changed the way the LA Galaxy played. It would be like if Joseph Paintsel never scored a goal, but he still had all the speed. Well, that was kind of Kevin Cabral, huh?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah. That's interesting if you sort of take it that way. But no. So I think for me, the thing that if Christian Wilhelmsen would have been on a team, the Galaxy don't win an MLS Cup. It's little stuff like that. Maybe the handball that happened in the RSL SKC game at the end of the
decision
which
day.
season was that? Was it 2022? Or 2023? No, 2022. Yeah,
It
2022.
was
where,
either 2022 or 21.
or
One of
21.
those.
I can't remember. Yeah, one of those. The whole yeah, maybe it was the non-handball that didn't get called. That was absolutely a handball, and everybody's like, "Oh, but we missed that one." It's like, yeah, you think that one could have changed things because I thought the Galaxy were good enough to be in the playoffs to be dangerous that year.
And then we'd be talking about a Greg Vanney that got the Galaxy to the playoffs 3 out of 5 years instead of 2 out of 5 years.
He's got to earn that a little bit. He's got to wear that. That's a fun part of this whole expansion is that he has to wear the fact that they haven't been, even though we expect them to be, they haven't been as good as they should have been.
Exactly. It's kind of like the albatross right now. Well, we announced it. Now go out and show them, lad. Go out and show them. Josh, we're gonna play another game with you. This one's called Galaxy Tinder. I know that you're happily married
Yes.
to Mrs. Pato, but this one is very safe because I'm just gonna tell you a phrase, and you're gonna swipe left to disagree or swipe right to agree.
Okay, I'm ready.
Douglas Costa wasn't that bad.
Left. Swiping left on that one. Remember, there's a difference between Doug and Douglas.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Douglas was the guy who was really bad. Doug, every once in a while, would show up and put in some work. Like, Doug was the hardworking guy. And every once in a while, you'd get a glimpse of what he could be. And you're like, man, if only. But there wasn't a lot of that. So left, disagree.
Yeah, but dude, that pass at the Rose Bowl, oh my God, that was a hell of a pass. But yeah, he could, it's like once out of every 20 games. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, oh man, if only he could do that. There just wasn't any if only.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
too bad.
Well, this is a super chat, and I'm going to work this one into Galaxy Tinder. If the Galaxy had kept Pavone, they never signed Ricky.
Do I agree with that? I think there's a real strong possibility, although the Galaxy needed somebody in the center. The fact that Ricky came as a non-DP is actually a pretty interesting take on that because maybe they could have had both. Maybe Pavone is that early winger that could sort of sit there. I'd say I'll disagree. I think the Galaxy could have done really. It was probably the early steps, and there's talk of, and we knew of the fact that they were trying to possibly. They were exploring bringing back Pavone, and Greg Vanney, I believe, wanted Pavone back, and so there was something there that had his legal issues been cleared up, I think he would have landed back at the LA Galaxy. Now that is officially put to bed, by the way, because in our Discord, that it's in the transfer page. It's just Pavone, and I don't know who. Oh, Cristiano Ronaldo right now. That's right. That's all that's in our transfer Discord. So
that's wonderful. Ananda. I mean, I just bring it up to Ananda now on the pod just to mess with them. Like Ananda, the Galaxy are linked with CR7 again, and he just shakes his head.
Less than 0%. Remember that, Rob.
Here we go. Bring back the sash.
Oh, swipe right. Oh, I love the sash. I love me a sash, baby. There's by the way, some really sharp designs recently, but man, the sash was a sexy difference maker. Nobody else had it. Very unique. Would love to see it back again.
Yeah. If Greg Vanney is at some point relieved of his duties, Bruce Arena should return.
Swipe. Oh, I love Bruce. It would be hard to say no. Will he still be alive? Bruce is old. Let's be very clear. I love me some Bruce, but that dude is up. Is he like 70? Isn't he 70? Like 76, 77?
He is old. He is. Veterano. In Spanish, you call that veterano. And then
hey, the players know whenever you call them 73. Okay, the players know that when you call them veteran, that we mean old. They know that.
Oh, definitely.
By the way, they tell us all the time. They're always like, "Oh, yeah." No, I think that ship has sailed. If it was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, maybe. I think Bruce and Dave Sarakin and Pat Noonan, and you go back and look at the coaches that were on the LA Galaxy. Dave Sarakin is one of the most underrated coaches in all of U.S. soccer history, and it's kind of crazy to think that. But like that dude, he was coach of the Chicago Fire when they were an expansion team, and they won MLS Cup.
They won the whole damn thing.
I mean, there were like 6 teams, but still, I'm not gonna hold that against Dave.
they still had to win it. LAFC is not the Galaxy's biggest rival.
Swipe left. It's to me, it's obvious that they are. You can pretend it's not, but the the location alone dictates that there is something going on there. Not the same with San Diego yet. That is not something that I see as a rivalry, mostly because the LA Galaxy are falling all over themselves trying to just find a win, so they're not really worried about rivalry.
Right.
And I also talked about the last time the LA Galaxy played LAFC that it was probably the least important El Tráfico ever in terms of how things were going, and it just didn't have. One team needs to be like really good at the time in order for it to mean something, and it just wasn't there for that one. So, but no, it's not San Jose either. Please stop that. People, the original one is San Jose. Stop. You're embarrassing yourself.
It's lost a lot of its luster. Emotionally,
Yeah.
I feel nostalgic for that because that's when I was like still living in San Francisco. So that's really
Right.
when I would get to see the Galaxy was when they went to town and played San Jose. So I was all about that rivalry.
At the high school stadium.
Oh yeah, Buckshot. Oh yeah.
Buckshot, baby. Ooh, fun. Good times.
Oh, definitely a high school stadium.
I was there whenever Mike McGee went in goal, so I was in the stands at Buckshot. So I was there. Yep.
Oh, it was so great. I was. Do you remember that there was only like 12 people there?
Yeah, it wasn't a lot. I mean, I had bought tickets and went up with a friend, and we went into the supporter section for that. And so we were there. I was literally in the supporter section for that game and went up there. And
We were in the same space and we didn't even know it.
We didn't even know it. And then I famously, as I was sitting in the airport, waiting to go home after that game, I wrote a Mike McGee facts tweet. And that was the original Mike McGee facts tweet that then ended up being this. So I tweeted it, got on a plane, landed an hour and a half later before Wi-Fi on the planes. Landed an hour and a half later, down in Orange County, and all of a sudden everybody was making up these Mike McGee facts, like the whole thing. So I got to talk to Mike about it originally. He's like, "Yeah, you were the first one. I remember that." So there it goes. My another claim to fame for Pato here.
He's definitely one of my favorites. Mike McGee,
100%.
Mike McGee, class act. I know that when Galaxy fans went to Chicago last year, he treated them to a nice little time out there. We only have a couple more here for in Galaxy Galaxy Tinder. Robbie Keane was the best DP in Galaxy history.
Man, I love Robbie Keane. Just like I have a giant poster of him in my office still. Like there's like full size poster Robbie Keane like up on the wall. I'll swipe left. I am a big fan of Landon Donovan, and I always have been. And for what he was able to do and how it was now, very much I believe that it was Robbie Keane and David Beckham and Landon Donovan that made that team tick. And once you have, by the way, it proves out you have three really good designated players that you will have a good team. And so I think that's it. But for me, it was LD for the best designated player, just for year in, year out, every time showed up and rang that bell. I know there's some controversy about Mr. LD there calling out Christian Pulisic, but
Thoughts?
for my money, well, I saw Eddie Johnson talking about, Christian has to travel all these miles. I'm like, did you not travel in the United States for soccer? Like, I'm like, do we not constantly talk about how the travel just kills Major League Soccer? I will agree with Eddie that the long off time in between is certainly something, but the amount of games these guys are playing is nuts anyway. I think it probably lies somewhere in the middle. I don't know that it was Landon's brightest moment to bring that up in the at the end of this Spain-Portugal game, sort of to be like, look at Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't know that was the correct one. But yeah, I find it all humorous. I know that Christian's dad is even out there tweeting and doing stuff. Whatever. It's just, that's craziness. Just put the phones down, everybody. Put the phones down, walk away. Just, it's crazy.
Another example of those U.S. men's national team helicopter parents. Again, since you brought up Landon, Landon Donovan will be LA Galaxy head coach one day.
Swipe left. I don't
Disagree.
think, I don't think, and this goes for Robbie Keane as well. Show me the coaching pedigree that gets you to manage the top team in Major League Soccer, the crown jewel of the 30-team league, 6-time MLS Cup champions. I was told about a long time ago that, this was back, I think, even before Greg Vandy came, but people were saying, what about Robbie Keane and the whole deal? It's like, listen, love Robbie Keane, love everything he does. Show me the pedigree. Show me where he's had all this huge success in these upper level leagues. If we think MLS is, a top 6, top 7 team in the world, then show me where you have success in some of these other leagues that even if it's underneath or just right there, you have to show pedigree in order to be a coach of the LA Galaxy. Somewhat laughably, Kurt Arnolfo should have probably learned that before he took over for the LA Galaxy.
Right.
You know, and that. But you look at, I mean, Guillermo Barros-Schelotto is probably another one where you sit there and say, where was the success? Certainly, a former player who understood the league, and there was hope that the international coach who had played in the league would understand the league more, and I don't think that translated. So, no, I say neither Robbie nor Landon Donovan will ever be coach of the LA Galaxy, at least not in the next 10 to 12 years without a proper pedigree behind them.
Without a couple more titles, Robbie, without a couple more titles, Landon, you know, I did like Landon's brand of soccer when I saw them playing with San Diego. But no, you're right. I mean, these are two coaches that are, you know, Robbie has one title under his belt. Landon doesn't have a title under his belt. But you are also right that it wasn't his finest moment. And I really think he should have just told one of the homies, like, hey, say this, because, you know, it's me totally being a hypocrite. And I'm one of his biggest defenders on him taking that sabbatical and doing what he had to, yeah, him doing what he needed to do for him. But then, you know, him coming back and, you know, saying something about Pulisic doing, you know, what he needed to do for him. I was like, ooh, Landon, did you not remember? And apparently Christian's dad did.
Yeah.
And that was surprising too, because like you hear him on his podcast with Timmy Howard, and he's usually very balanced and fair. And then you hear that and you're like, oh, anyways, okay.
Well, you're like, what happened to him? Like, ¿qué le pasó?
Usually Tim. It's usually Tim is the one that's a little more brat. Anyways.
Well, let's take us to present day real quick.
Do we have to?
Yeah, no, we have to, because we only have Josh for a little bit longer. I mean, and we got to pick his brain a little bit on the current Galaxy team. I mean, he nurtured us with all the good memories already, so we could get here and sit through the pain, right? So, Josh, you've already done the math on the pod, right? You've already told folks pretty much at the top that you don't think it's going to happen for the Galaxy, that they're going to make the playoffs. Did you see did you see the terrible start coming? And then did you see certainly like the prolonged just misery that the Galaxy had to endure at the beginning of the season?
No, because nobody should start that bad. And even whenever we were talking about, you know, replacing Mark Delgado, which I think was a big loss in there, and then not having Ricky Puig. I mean, maybe we should have, and maybe I was naive to think that the LA Galaxy could have found, you know, some success without Ricky. I mean, we certainly knew there was going to be an impact, but we thought that the Galaxy were going to be able to sort of play around that. And so I think being naive to the fact that was the thing, but I really think the biggest problem was the injuries, and it continued to be the injuries. I have not seen this team outside of New York, and the New York game, I personally believe, was Greg Vanney's sort of salute to, hey, you want me to change things up? All right, let me show you what happens when things change up. And Josh's philosophy has always been to, whenever you have to change things, you change things as little as possible, right? There's a system that works within the LA Galaxy. We know what that system is. We see it whenever it's successful. We see it whenever it fails. But you want to make sure the players are comfortable in that system. And so if you're trying to change things, you have to change things, you know, a little bit at a time. Now, Greg Vanney famously changed his entire formation for an MLS Cup, and I think won that one. So to do that, so you know, he can do that. But I think that there are changes within a system that can happen. I think that he's been doing all these different changes. So I felt like there was going to be a way to tinker their way to some. You were hoping, you know, maybe a 500 start where you're sort of like, you win some games, you lose some games, but you know, you're sort of just hanging around while you're trying to figure this out, while you're trying to do it. But when you have, you know, the LA Galaxy doesn't have players who up to the point now have played, you know, somewhere around 48% or 46% of their total available minutes. I think that's the biggest sort of, are you going to be successful, is how many minutes are your designated players going to play? So tell me if that is, you know, one of those things. You know, it should be easy to calculate. So whenever you had Paintsel down, whenever you had Peck down, when you have Ricky Puig down, when you have Marco Royce down, right, and you just start adding, when you have Maya Yoshida down, like you start adding all these things up, and for most of the first half of the season, the Galaxy didn't have the players that they thought they were going to have. maybe that's an excuse, and people will certainly call it one. But I'm going to sit here and tell you that I think it's an explanation. I try not to deal in excuses. I think excuses are just explanations people don't like. In a lot of ways. Now, certainly you can just be like, my dog ate my homework. I don't think that, I think we can all be reasonable and look at to say we've seen this. We've seen the impact that the LA Galaxy designated players have on when they play well. Look at whenever they played against RSL, who, by the way, is not a good team this year. There shouldn't be jumping up and down and saying, oh, look. But the bottom line is they're way better than the LA Galaxy at that point, right? Because you look at the two records and you're like, these are not the same, right? So for me, no, I couldn't have predicted it. Maybe I was naive to the fact that Ricky wasn't there, but I really think that the injuries had more to do with that than anything else. Had everybody been healthy at the beginning of the year, I think the Galaxy would have been maybe not closer to 500, but certainly much, much better than they currently are with their 7 points sitting down there, 7 whole points behind St. Louis. So
all 7 points. Ananda, really quick, sending Forza to Mike, who says that sitting there with no power and helicopters coming around him. So
stay safe, Mike.
Yeah, stay safe. Thank you, Potamus, for being here with us at 200. You already mentioned, Josh, a couple of the reasons why the Galaxy have found themselves with those measly 7 points. I mean, lost players, these injuries. Do you think that's where the blame lies? Do you think there needs to be any blame given? And if so, who do you think that blame lies with?
Yeah, no, I mean, you can play the blame pie game, which is always fun. How much blame is how much can you get blame on each one? So, like Greg Vanney, does he deserve some blame? Yeah, of course. It's his job to motivate his guys, and his guys have to go out and execute. I will say that in most cases, I haven't seen flawed game plans. I've seen flawed executions, right? And at some point, I'm not sure Greg Vanney can score, so he'd come off the bench to try. I'm sure if you'd let him, he would come out there and try to score. And do that stuff. But we've seen, an offense that was one of the top offenses in the league suffer because of the creativity of Ricky Puig, and you have a defense that is, I think, is maybe even a little bit better than last year, which is crazy to say, but they haven't been protected by the multi-goals that the Galaxy would score. So I don't think that they were perfect to begin with, but I also, being a former defender at no level that would indicate I have any business talking about professional athletes in any such way, I will say that, I usually tend to look at the defense and say, it's harder to put some of that blame on the defense, but they have. I mean, look at the individual mistakes that the LA Galaxy have made. But can you blame a coach for individual mistakes? Yeah, but can you blame a coach for individual mistakes?
Nope.
It's tough. Like Garces, was that Greg Vanney's fault that Garces kicked the ball backwards into a perfect pass for San Diego to score and get 3 points from? The Galaxy didn't get a single point from it.
It's a hell of a ball by Garces.
Amazing stuff. But that type of thing. Now, ultimately, does a coach get fired? Yeah, it's always going to be that way. I think that MLS is different than most leagues, and this is a good thing, not a bad thing, that you can think a little bit longer term sometimes. So, we'll see if that plays out and it actually works. If not, the LA Galaxy just signed a guy who's going to be an anchor for the next 3 years, right? Although I would expect that if next year doesn't go well, that Greg Vanney would no longer be with the LA Galaxy. If the next year starts out like this year, Greg Vanney's going to be gone, right? Like that doesn't even, that seems easy to say and easy to understand. So,
well, and then that exactly goes to the point that I made on an earlier pod, Josh, which is like, I've seen takes out there saying that, in any other league in the world, this wouldn't happen. Greg wouldn't get, but you just made your point. This isn't like any other league in the world, which goes to your point, right? About there's no, again, I don't want to talk about pro rel on this pod, but there's no quote unquote penalty for being in last place other than embarrassment and a wooden spoon, right? So
yeah, I mean, again, I'm not keeping the wooden spoon, so find somebody else to hold it this time. But I also think there's bad parts to that too. I mean, saying there's no pressure though is always like, I don't know. It's a BS cop out because I know I can go down there and talk to players. I have players telling me that they can't sleep at night because they're like the Galaxy haven't won, right? I mean, straight up, they're like, I can't sleep. This is horrible. Like this is like we're all trying so hard, and it seems like we can't get any results and do the things. So, I'm expecting to sort of see what that means now in this. You can't say there's no pressure. The LA Galaxy know exactly where they stand and they have to climb. So.
Yeah, I mean, Greg kept it real. I mean, he said, we know exactly where we are, and unfortunately, we do too.
Josh, we only have a couple more questions for you here, man. You've already said Galaxy are not making the playoffs. I mean, you're dashing my hopes.
My take here is this: is show me that they can win 3 or 4 games in a row, and then we can talk about the playoffs. And
So you still have hope?
No, until then. So like,
no.
Remember,
Don't get it twisted.
On my show, I said I was not going to pick the LA Galaxy to win until they won something, right? Until they won a game. I go, you will not find me picking them to win. I'm not going to do it. And I will sort of stick with that. I will not pick the LA Galaxy to go beat St. Louis. I will not pick the LA Galaxy right now to beat Colorado. I will not pick the LA Galaxy to go 3 games in a row on the road. Are you freaking crazy? Like, I know, and I constantly probably overplay this. Going on the road is really hard in Major League Soccer. Like, it is significant challenge. And now you're going to do it 3 games in a row. 3 games in a row, you're away from your home, your house, the whole deal. Only one time this year have the LA Galaxy played back-to-back home games. That's freaking crazy. At 17 games through the season, the schedule makers did not do the LA Galaxy any favors with start times nor with any particular. But we ultimately know there has to be something coming up, and you can sort of look at the ones in July 4th, July 12th, July was that 16th. Yeah. By the way, those are all short rest games, so that's wonderful too. Just great. That's exactly what you need for a team that can't win and has injury problems. So
Yep, absolutely. That stretch, even when they are home or in Los Angeles, it's every 3 or 4 days right there. And DC United Galaxy is on the 12th, Galaxy versus Austin the 16th, and El Tráfico on 7/19.
Yeah. And by the way, playing in St. Louis at 3:30 in the afternoon in the middle of summer, playing at Houston at the end of July at 6:30 local time or 7:30, whatever. I mean, that should be
clock,
fun,
man. Body clock. It's all about the body clock.
Yeah, you definitely have mentioned that to me before on the body clock. Even when there was an earlier Galaxy game at home one time, I think it was like at 4:30 or something like that, and you were like body clock. But by the way, no one knows this, but Josh is in the process of writing a comedy series about the exploits of the Galaxy Media Corps called Mix Zone. So
Mix Zone,
watch out for that, y'all. So let's assume that the Galaxy stay on what they've shown us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which means, basically they don't make the playoffs.
Right.
How should they move for the rest of the season? I mean, when Ricky's ready, should they just say, hey, don't even rush it now? Do you want him to come back and basically start working towards 2026? Should Greg just play the kids? I mean, what's the move?
One is you put out the most competitive team that you can at any point. 2 is nobody ever said that Ricky Puig is rushing to get back, and I suggest that even if the Galaxy were in first place, there wouldn't be any rush to get Ricky Puig back. Ricky will be back when Ricky is healthy and cleared, and that's it. And then when he's healthy and cleared, you get his butt on the field as soon as possible because you need to start him. There's and you talk to players enough and you've been around a long. Injuries are mental almost more than they are physical. And Ricky is the last memory Ricky has of being on a field is whenever he, tore his ACL. That's going to be so fresh in his mind the first game that he steps out there. He has to learn to trust it and do all this stuff. You want that happening this year and not next year because 2026, God willing, and according to Will Kuntz and everything else, that the Galaxy have room, that they have the ability to put together a really competitive team, that they'll be able to add the pieces they want to, that the salary cap won't be so constrictive. And then you'll have Ricky Puig back. You have Gabriel Peck. You have Joseph Paintsill. If you get all these guys together and do all that stuff, I think you can be really good. But you don't want Ricky Puig trying to figure out how to play in the preseason of 2026. That is too late. You want him ready and feeling good in the off season, taking some time, doing all the stuff that he needs to do, and being ready for whenever it hits, whenever we're all out at Coachella again, getting ready. Ricky Puig is going to be out there just chomping at the, or I should say champing at the bit, to find, to be ready to go. You don't want him figuring that out. People disagree with me all the time. I don't care. That's simple, like, player management 101 is when he's ready, you bring him back. Does that mean that you push him for all the minutes down? No, you get to manage his minutes. You get to do the things that you need to do. So it probably puts him in a position where he doesn't have to play real big, meaningful games, which may be helpful. It might not be helpful for him, but he needs to be on the team, on the field as soon as he can.
Anandita, it's sad, but we have come to the end of our evening. This is the end of show 200, and I'm not ready for it to go yet. So I'm gonna ask Josh one last question, which is,
Dale.
after 17 years of just doing amazing work, what's next for Corner of the Galaxy? Is there anything exciting on the horizon? Another live show, perhaps?
I mean, we'll work on some live shows, but the fun part about doing this, Rob, is, and you know this as well, is yes, tonight is show 200, and yes, it's a big deal, and I congratulate you both for it. But the awesome thing about what we do is, on Thursday it's going to be show 201,
Right.
and then on Monday it's going to be show 202, right? And that's all you do. People ask me how I've done 1,200 shows. It's by you do one, and then you do the next one, then you do the next one. One game at a time, baby. One game at a time, right? Every coach has said it.
Crazy.
Play one game at a time. Just pay no attention to the numbers for a little while, and they add up real quick. So don't worry about it.
Just make sure and to not say that they're must wins, and
Then
we'll
there's this season might not have a must win, Rob. That there might just not be a must
Oh,
win.
well,
Maybe in League Cup,
yeah.
Yeah.
Or
maybe.
Campiones Cup, who knows?
Get a final.
Yeah, there you go. See,
that's
there's
a
a
must
must
win.
win. There you go. We got one or two.
Mr. Provino posited the other day that the Galaxy this year will win the League's Cup, the Campeones Cup, and also take the wooden spoon.
Wooden spoon, yeah.
Sounds about right.
Matt knows what's going on. He's a smart guy.
Well, thank you, man. You definitely came through, and I mean, we always talk about how you're kind of like the gold standard for us, when we ideate and stuff like that. We should probably just have a WWJD, but what would Josh do bracelet, right? Because honestly, man, I hadn't even approached you about coming on the pod until 200, because I wanted to be like, you know what? I want Yoda to come on and have a good time and be like, hey, you know what? That was a good experience. I wanted to level it up,
No. You were like, let me learn how to read and write, and then I'll hit up Josh, and then I'll make a fool of myself. Yeah.
They say that your first 200 shows are the crappy ones, and then after that,
woo,
you get a little bit better. So
There we go.
you guys
I can't wait to level up. Woo!
No, you guys do an amazing job. I'm honored that you'd have me on for 200. I think maybe you could have gotten Zlatan, but try again for another day. That's what I said.
Oh, I think he's busy hiding from the Milan Ultras out there. So stay safe, Zlatan. Yeah.
Zlatan owes me $20, so he's kind of hiding from me as well. So
that's good. That's good.
Cuneros, you've been treated to some quality time with the Podfather Josh Guesman, and two knuckleheads really here on this humble little pod. We thank you as well for being here with us for 200. Like Josh says, the beautiful thing about this is that we'll be back with you guys for 201 on Thursday, June 12th. And that's the day we'll be previewing St. Louis versus the Galaxy with Apple TV and MLS analyst Michele Giannone for that match happening on Saturday, June 14th. And of course, that's that rematch of the Galaxy's 3-0 loss. And then a week from today, on June 16th, we'll have a Galaxy versus St. Louis City reaction pod. And then remember, the G's don't play again after that until Wednesday, June 25th. So make sure and show up for the Galaxy and catch this match. And I think that's it from us, guys. Josh, thank you once again. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Josh.
My regards to the family, and let Grayson know that we do need that good luck charm back in the digs, so the Galaxy can keep on going undefeated there when she's in the building. And Andita, anything else to add?
Only one thing left to say, Papa.
Only one thing left to say is LA strong, vamos campeones, and G.